Hey there, everybody. This is Jason. This video is, well, it's probably going to end up being a series of videos, but we're going to be covering installing and using Linux, and just kind of this will be just kind of an intro to Linux, getting you set up. So, we're going to use the most popular distribution of Linux, which is called Ubuntu. Another one that's also very popular is Linux Mint. Both are fairly easy to use for newcomers to Linux, and so yeah, if you're not familiar with Linux or the idea of an operating system, Linux is an operating system like Windows, or like Mac OS X is an operating system, which is just the software that sits between your computer hardware and you, pretty much, that you can run other software on top of. The reason we're going over Linux is for system administrators. It's an invaluable tool to learn Linux and to understand it and to be able to navigate and manipulate data in Linux using the command line, and it just makes computer networking so much more robust, in my opinion. It's also good for some people who don't need a full-fledged operating system. This is a full-fledged operating system, but there are some versions of Linux, some other distributions, that are small. You can pop those on your thumb drive, put them in a computer, and you're good to go. It boots up in seconds. Some of the smaller ones. Ubuntu takes a bit longer to boot up, but that's okay. But Ubuntu is kind of aimed at the person who, the casual computer user who, you're gonna get on the web, you're gonna do some surfing, pay your bills. You're gonna be playing the occasional game of solitaire, or some other casual game like that. Although I'm very excited that Steam, the popular PC gaming platform, is now available for Linux. It's been available for Windows for ages, and then for Mac not too long ago, and then finally this year we got it for Linux, and this just makes me so happy. Because to be honest with you, I would love to be able to use Linux all day, every day, but there are some things that just prevent me from being able to use it, like editing video. That is one of the biggest things for me right now, to not be able to. I can't do it very well in Linux. Not too many people have support for Linux. You have, Adobe Premiere, After Effects, Sony Vegas. All those programs have no support for Linux, and it's kind of sad to see, but it's good to see, though, that Linux is gaining in popularity. Steam has finally jumped over, so hopefully we can get some more developers to come over, because I'd love to be able to use it full time. And Ubuntu is free. That's another thing about it that is just amazing. There's no cost to install Ubuntu. You can install it on as many computers as you want. There are some things that, obviously programs, if you want, that you can pay for, but the operating system is free. And so that's my little spiel on Ubuntu. So we're just going to go ahead and... Oh, I do want to say one more thing. Another reason we're using Ubuntu is it is supported the most out of all of the operating systems for personal use. Red Hat Linux, you may have heard of that, is an enterprise Linux solution that a lot of companies use, actually. But it's not one that you would want to use. That is actually not free. Red Hat Linux is not free. But you wouldn't want to use it for personal use anyway. It's for, companies doing developmental work or storage or, that kind of stuff that relies on networking and all that kind of stuff. So, let's go ahead and download Ubuntu. I'll show you how to burn it as far as I can. I don't have an actual burner on this computer, but I'll take you as far through the process as I can. And then we're going to boot up from it, install it, and kind of play around with it a little bit, learn some commands, things like that. So, yeah, I think this will be good. All right, let's do it. So, you can go to ubuntu.com, and if you click on the desktop tab here, and then click Get Ubuntu Now, and alright, quick note about your architectures here. If your computer was made in the last 2 years or so, I would say you can go ahead and do the 64-bit with no real issue at all. Most computers now support multiple core processors, which can handle 64-bit operating systems just fine. If it's relatively old computer, you've had it more than a few years, you're gonna want to go with 32-bit. And that's another thing about Linux, is it runs great on older hardware. It's a I can't even get out what I'm trying to say here. You can customize Linux a lot more than you can with Windows and Mac, especially the GUI, or the graphical user interface. And you can really eke the most speed out of it that you want. So it's ideal for older computers, that old dinosaur you have in your house that you don't want to give up, but you just kind of want to get some more life out of it. So for those computers, definitely 32-bit. 32-bit's going to have the most support across the board, but if you're confident that your computer has a Core i3, i5, or i7 processor, 64-bit should be fine. You'll probably want at least 4 gigs of RAM to run the 64-bit. Alright. Go ahead and click on the Ubuntu 12.04. The LTS stands for long-term support. That's the one I use. I generally stick with the long-term support releases. Those only get updates every 2 years, whereas the what are these called? The midterm releases, they update every 6 months, and that's just a little too fast for me. I like my settings and everything to stay the same for as long as possible. One note though is the long-term support releases have support up to 5 years, but you can upgrade every 2 years. So, but you can choose whichever of these you want. But for this project, I am going to be using Ubuntu 12.04. So go ahead and click that. And you can donate if you would like. I would. It is going to a good cause, developing a free operating system. But right now I'm going to say not now. Take me to the download. And you're going to click save. Now, one note, this file is about 750 megabytes. So, it's going to take a while. Depending on how fast your connection is. If you have, you know, at least a good, at least a mid-range internet connection, then you should be good to go. The slower ones obviously going to take a lot longer. Might take up to about an hour to download. But I already have it downloaded, so I'm not going to do that for the sake of brevity. And I don't want to cut it out of the video because I'm lazy like that. Alright, I'm going to be installing this in VMware, but I don't want to go there just yet. So let's say you have that file downloaded and somebody is texting me on my iPad, so I will be right back. Alright, I am back. So the program I'm using is ImageBurn, or IMG Burn. You can use whatever CD burning program you like. I will not be able to give you support for it though, or not support, but rather information on how to use it. But I will show you for ImageBurn. It is free. You can download it. Just do a Google search for ImageBurn. And we're going to write image file to disk. And you're going to have to select the image file. So we downloaded this. And there it is. No, that's the server desktop. That's the one I want. Alright. And like I said before, I don't have a CD or DVD writer in my laptop. So, but if you do, this will become colored, and you can click on it. You go ahead and click on it. It'll burn it. When it's done burning, it's going to pop it out. It's going to ask you to pop it back in so it can verify the disk, and then you'll be good to go. And then you're going to want to take that disk, grab a Sharpie, label it. I don't know how many times I have not done that and forgotten what a disk is. I have a bunch of coasters around my house now. But so yeah, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and power on your computer, whatever computer you're installing this to, or if you're doing it in a virtual machine, you can just kind of we'll get there in a second, but go ahead and power on your computer. Go ahead and if it's a Dell, I believe you press F12 like crazy during that screen where the Dell logo pops up at the very beginning when you first turn it on, the post screen as it's called, or the BIOS screen. It's not really the BIOS screen, but you may hear it referred to as that. You can get to the BIOS from there. Anyway, enough yammering. Goodness, man. Where was I? Oh yeah. So yeah, you're gonna hit whatever key it is that gives you the boot menu options, or it could be called quick boot options or something like that. With Dells, it's F12, so just hit that like your life depends on it when that Dell logo comes up. HP, this HP that I'm using here, it's F9. But when that logo first pops up, you should be able to see, it should have in white text along either the bottom or the top saying press like F2 for setup and then press F12 for boot menu. So go ahead and get that set up and it'll look something like, get this started for you. Like in this case for the virtual machine, it's escape. In the boot menu will look something like this. And we're going to select CD. on drive. You can install this to a USB drive. I'm not covering that in this video, but you can Google instructions for that if you need to do that to a USB drive instead. We're just covering the CD because it's a little easier to do. So go ahead and select that. Excuse me there. Choked on my own words. Alright, and we're going to let that boot. So just give it a second. I might actually either blabber on while this is booting or cut this out. We'll see. Actually, I think I'm going to cut this out. It's just going to do this for a minute or two where it's cycling through those little lights there. So just be patient, wait for the screen to populate. So I'll see you in a second, okay? Oh, well, I was gonna pause it, but the screen started populating, so never mind. That was a lot faster than I remember it last time. Alright, you can hit try Ubuntu, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Or you can just go straight to install Ubuntu. We're going to get to the install in a minute, so hang tight, alright? Alright, come on now. Alright. So I am doing this in a virtual screen or machine, so it doesn't have the driver support yet to fill the whole screen. That's okay. Alright, so this is what it'll look like after you have it installed. It's going to have this little bar along the side here, and we'll get into more of what this stuff does. But this is how you find everything. You can click on this and start typing for, you know, like word processing, or the program for word processing in here is LibreOffice. There we go. So yeah, you can just mess around with it a little bit if you want. You don't have to worry about breaking the installation because we haven't installed anything yet. You can just kind of muck around with the settings. So I'm going to go ahead and double click this install Ubuntu 12.04.2 long-term service. Wow, long name. Alright, you can choose a different language if you'd like, or if you're installing this for someone else and they speak another language, but you might have to have them help you with the options, because if you don't speak the language. Anyway, continue. It doesn't say it's connected to the internet right now, but hang on a second. Let me go into my settings here. Control D. I have to remember that for the future. Okay, network adapter. No. Let's try. Yeah, let's try that. That should be fine. Hang on a second. I gotta see if the yep, I got my Ethernet cord plugged in. Alright. We'll go ahead and go with wireless too. Hey, there it goes. Alright. Okay. Alright, so it's connected. I would go ahead and recommend the downloading your updates while installing, so you don't have to do it after the fact. And install third-party software if you want to be able to play anything like MP3s or video files other than some of the open source ones that they have. So, yeah. Go ahead and hit continue. Let it do its thing. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and assume that you have everything backed up from your computer. If not, you might ask someone for help with that. because we're going to go ahead and erase disk and install Ubuntu. So this will completely destroy anything currently on the disk. So just fair warning. You can do something else. Let's see what those options are actually. Oh yeah, it brings up the partition table. I really wouldn't mess with this just yet. I can probably do a separate video for you if you need help installing Ubuntu alongside Windows or something like that. But for now, just I wouldn't even bother. If you do need to install this alongside with Windows, then stop right here, because we're not covering that in this particular video. So we're going to erase disk and install Ubuntu. Continue. And yep, that's the drive we want. It's the only one listed. Install now. And now we wait. Well, hang on. We get to put in some user information in a second here. So we'll do that. Alright. Yes. That's correct. If you're connected to the internet, it will automatically find out or ping a server near you and figure out where you're at. Go ahead and continue again. Alright, this is the default keyboard setup. You can change it if you have a different style keyboard. Continue. Continue, I say. Alright. My name, I'm just gonna put, come on, J. Computer name, we're gonna call him Filbert. I don't know why. We're going with that. Alright. Choose a password. How about it's a secret password. Alright, and you can choose whatever password you want. Just make sure it matches up in the next field there. Alright, for security reasons I would not use login automatically. You can encrypt your home folder if you want. I don't here at the place I work, because that makes it very difficult to retrieve files. If the hard drive goes bad, you have to. If the hard drive goes bad, even the person who has the password has trouble putting the password in because the hard drive's corrupted. It's just for retrieving hard drives or information from bad hard drives becomes much more difficult. But if you're not concerned about that, or if the information on the computer is more important than the computer itself, then go ahead and click encrypt my home folder. If the computer is more important than the information you're putting on there, then do not. That's usually the rule I go by. So we're going to go ahead and click continue. And obviously this is on a virtual machine. This is kind of like my little virtual sandbox I used to play in. Just testing things or doing some network stuff. I like doing it in a virtual machine because it makes things it makes it so I don't have to reboot my machine and get back into Linux on a separate partition. Wait for that to boot up, and then when I'm done, go back to Windows, reboot, or reboot, go back to Windows. Bleh, it's just easier to just pop open a virtual machine. So this is going to install. This will take a little while. Again, depending on your internet speed, connection, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to make you wait through that. I'll see you in a minute, and we'll go over some of the rest of this stuff. Okay? If I can. Hang on.